Welcome to Willow's World of DIY. I'm Willow, and today we are going to be installing a K&N cold air intake on a 2005 Toyota Tacoma. Alright, the first step is to remove the negative side battery cable. And next we're going to remove the engine cover using a 10mm ratchet. Keep track of the placements of my bolts by using a magnetic bowl. I just place them in a clockwise fashion of where I've taken them off. So here's my starting point, and we will continue from there. Then we're going to remove the stock intake by just a 10mm ratchet. And then we use a 12mm ratchet to take off the mounts on it. I got an extension so that we can reach them down to this mounting bolt. There it is. Old intake's off. Alright, now we're going to remove the factory airbox, but we're going to start by removing the mass airflow sensor connection. That. We're going to remove the breather. That. Use a 10mm socket. Here. And the hose clamp. Now we're going to be removing this wiring harness tie down. Just going to use a flathead screwdriver and pry it out. Yeah. Another one right here. There we go. Stock airbox out. Alright, next we're going to change out the longer vacuum line hose. And we're going to flip the breather. Like that. Alright, now we're going to be putting together the mounting bracket. The 4mm Allen wrench bolt. There's a grommet, washer, neoprene nut. Now we're going to install the mounting hardware, the supplied bolt and washer. Alright, now we're going to install the mounts onto the heat shield using the bolt, washer supplied with the kit. There's a metal spacer that has to be placed in between the mount and the heat shield box. Now we're going to install the weather stripping on the heat shield. Okay, we're going to bend this over and we're going to cut the excess stripping off. Okay, let's see how it fits. Alright, just bolt it in. Here's what happens when you have butterfingers and you drop a bolt down in the motor. Easy as that. I try to press it out while I'm tightening just so this seal gets kind of pinched between the windshield washer box. Just to try to make a nice seal for the cold air so it's not breathing the hot air out of the engine. Sometimes you run into technical difficulties. This hole was plugged up with mud and grease, whatever, but it's rusted, so we are going to have to tap it. After seeing how much this huge bolt protruded through the fender well, I decided to use the smaller bolt that came with the K&N filter kit. If it'll go in your hole, find your hole. That's bigger than a 12. Okay, now we're going to install the rubber mounting stud onto the new intake. And we are going to install the new fitting. We're going to use Teflon tape on it just to get a good seal. When you're installing Teflon tape, you want to make sure that it goes with the thread so that it doesn't come off as you're screwing it into the piece. So I always put it on in a clockwise fashion, and then that way when you're screwing in, the end doesn't peel back off. It screws on tighter. Alright, let's get the mass airflow sensor in. Not going to use the factory screws, as they're not a fine thread like the screws that are equipped with it. So that's what we're going to use. And use this, put the new seal on it. We're going to clean it up first though. It's got some grease on it. Carefully place that on, make sure it seats all the way down. Make sure you go right in here. Use the supplied screws and grommets. These are 2.5 Allen wrench. Alright, we're going to use a 14mm socket and just snug down this adapter. I don't want it too tight, it's just plastic, but that should be good. Alright, we're just installing the rubber adapters and the hose clamps. We'll get them all tightened down once we get it into the vehicle. I always try to take a clean rag and wipe the throttle body inlet just to get any buildup or debris out of there. And that way it's not gonna come loose and flow into your engine. As you can see, it's pretty dirty. It's an 8mm socket. I like to get them nice and snug so they're not going nowhere. Alright, snug this up. This hose clamp up to the mount. Nice and stable. And we'll go ahead and tighten this one up. And then reinstall the breather. These are just pinch clips. All you gotta do is pinch them with your fingers or use a pair of pliers. Obviously this hose is a little old, so it's not as flexible as a new one, but it'll work. Good. Now we're going to put the fuel vacuum line on. Yeah. We're going to plug in the mass airflow sensor. Good. Alright, now we're going to install the radius filter adapter into the filter.
Or try.
Yeah, or try. It'll get there. And then tighten down the hose clamp. Put this way. I want the K&N to be, you know, up and look good even though you can't see it. Alright, now let's install it in the truck.
Till I get up, time is barely on our side.
Alright, now we're going to reinstall the engine cover. Just clip the back end first. Install the two 10mm nuts. I always like to start bolts by hand first so I don't cross thread them. Good to go. Now we just reconnect the negative side of the battery terminal. Good to go. Alright, this is the finished install. This is how it should look. Let's get in the truck and see how she runs. Alright, this K&N cold air intake says that it should give us 10.31 more horsepower over stock and 10.88 foot-pounds of torque. Let's take it on a test drive and see how it feels. Definitely hear it in my It's been about 3 weeks since we installed the K&N cold air intake 63 series on our Toyota Tacoma. I really like this cold air intake setup. I love the louder, deeper sound of the intake, and you can definitely tell a difference in the pickup of the vehicle. So it definitely improved the performance of the truck. You know, it didn't turn it into a Lamborghini, but you know, for what this cost and what the truck is, I do think it made a good difference in it, and I do think it's worth the amount of money. I think K&N filters are great air filters. I've been running these filters on, you know, all my automotive vehicles and motorcycles for the last 20 years. I've never had any problems, you know, with sucking in any type of debris or anything like that into the motor. I love the fact that they're reusable. All you have to do is clean them out and re-oil them, and you have a brand new filter again. They last a long time. On the cold air intake, I really like the new molded plastic versus this flex tubing that'll add a bunch of turbulence to the air. The nice molded plastic will just allow nice and easy flow into the motor. I really like that on the new intake. We installed this this cold air intake with the pedal commander that I did the video before this one, and with both those together, we saw a reduction of 1.6 seconds on our 0 to 60 time, which that's a pretty good difference. I think for 0 to 60, that's a lot. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, post comments. Thanks for watching Willow's World of DIY. Until next time.